Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I have a brand new Black Friday must-buy list for all uniforms in Marvel Future Fight for 2020. This is a huge revamp over last year's list, so I want to bring it to you guys and showcase it because I know with just 2 weeks to go before Black Friday, that juicy 50% discount is coming, and I know you all want to take a big bite out of your crystal purchases so that you can get even more mileage going forward. So that's why I made this brand new list. But first, a word from our sponsor. A3 Still Alive is an epic new free-to-play game that ambitiously combines two of the hottest genres, MMORPG and Battle Royale. With 5 awesome classes to choose from and a dozen unique game modes, you're going to have a hard time putting this game down. Spend hours immersing yourself in the story mode featuring top quality voice acting and PC level graphics, or take it to the arena where your skills will be put to the test. Will you claim the ultimate prize? A3 Still Alive. Download now. So big shout out to Netmarble for sponsoring this channel and that video. Go check out A3 Still Alive. There's a unique download link in the description, so you can go and do that and support the channel by clicking on it and following my link specifically. Also want to thank Netmarble for inviting me to the Roundtable, allowing me to meet all those awesome content creators. The game is super fun to play. I can't wait to download it and try it myself as well when it's on the live server. So I just wanted to talk about that briefly and let you guys know all about that before you see all the really cool live streams and stuff that are coming up featuring me and other content creators that you might recognize from the gaming community. So without further ado, now let's dive into the uniform must-buy list. Last year in 2019, we did a sort of smash or pass. Since then, tons of uniforms have come out in Marvel Future Fight, tons of uniforms, to the point where if I were to make another smash or pass video, it would test the limits of my vocal cords and it would just be way too long. So rather than doing that, I decided to do something even better. You guys know how much I love spreadsheets, you know how much I love guides and things like that. I decided to make a guide sort of spreadsheet buy list for all of the best uniforms. So let's jump into it now. Keep in mind, don't be too it's not too daunting, don't be too shy about it, but keep in mind that for this list there's a lot of context that goes into it. So just pausing the video now and just looking at the list and just trying to figure everything out yourself may be challenging. Listen to what I have to say and let me explain everything so that I can give you all the pros and cons to all these uniforms, because it's much more complicated. It's not as simple as just like get this uniform, don't get that uniform. The further we get into the game, the more months that pass, the more years that pass, the more valuable your crystals become. So we really have to make every purchase really stretch as far as possible. So going on this list from left to right, left of course being the most valuable uniforms, aka priceless, and we go all the way to the right to see the least valuable uniforms, aka less value, and a damn shame because these uniforms just don't cut it for one reason or another, whether it's cost or it's value, like in terms of power level, or it's both. So this is basically how it shakes out. We got all the original icons from the regular tier list, so you do have some more information about the character, where they have a good leadership, they're hard to play, they die easily, they have crazy DPS, so on and so forth. So now let's jump into the list, but wait, we gotta do this first. We gotta talk about these uniforms that are sort of sectioned off. They've been quarantined because they have high levels of radiation. So let's check this out here. Holiday Lady Deadpool and Holiday Gwenpool and Summer Days Enchantress and Summer Days Cable are 4 limited time uniforms. They were only sold in a very specific window and then they were gone. We have literally not seen the Halloween. No, we didn't get any of those. We haven't seen the holiday uniforms since they were released back in December of 2019. So it's really tough to evaluate these uniforms and give them enough praise because they're just so rare. It's one of those things like a unicorn. You see it, you gotta have it. So my suggestion is, if you see these uniforms on sale, especially for crystals, because originally Enchantress and Gwenpool were only sold for real money. But if you see any of these uniforms on sale for crystals and the character hasn't gotten a new uniform since, and I haven't made a video about it, pick them up immediately. I don't know if they're gonna be sold for Black Friday, but if they are, you should pick them up immediately. Moving on, we have these 4 uniforms for legendary battles. Now, in the sense of, or in the case of Hela, Thor, and Loki, these 3 are available from a free legendary battle. In Hela's case, by purchasing her uniform, you're giving yourself the chance to get a CTP of energy. So there's super value there. You're basically investing 1,000 crystals and then a little bit of an upgrade to get it to heroic, and then you're getting a CTP of energy out of it, and you're giving Hela the support buff, and she's a decent character now. On the flip side, for both Thor and Loki, these are not, well, for Loki it is his best uniform, for Thor it's not, but you are getting a free premium card at the end of the day when you rank up these uniforms to heroic. So there's extra value added there. However, people have pointed out for Loki and Thor, there is now the competing value of the free. You still have to play through the battle pass and you still have to play giant boss raid, but it is a free premium card every like 40 days roughly. It's not 30 days, it's more like 40-45 days. There is a possibility, there's a 7% chance, so I guess there's a 2 in 7, not a 2 in 7, but there's a 7% chance twice that you will get either this card or this card, which are the cards that you get for the uniforms. So some people will argue that those uniforms are not worth buying anymore, because then if you get these as a duplicate, you don't really need duplicates, right? So you can sort of consider that for your own sake, and you can consider the value there, but it's guaranteed to get those cards specifically, which is why their value has always been very, very high. In the case of Pimtron, his uniform unlocks a free CTP selector. You do have to buy the Ant-Man and the Wasp legendary battle, so it is an extra 2,500 crystal investment, but his biometrics are very easy to obtain from the support shop, so you can easily collect a CTP of Regen or Rage quite easily after you invest the crystals there. Silk and Carnage, as you can see there, are there because we don't know yet, as of this video's recording, if these characters are going to get uniforms or not. So because we don't know, we can't say. Because we can't say, the value is sort of up in the air. Last but not least, or second last but not least, Sharon Rogers. So here's the tricky thing with Sharon Rogers and Luna Snow specifically. They have gotten, as far as the history of the game is concerned, a uniform every single year. So there is speculation, as always, there's speculation, there's a hypothesis that every single year those two original characters are going to get new uniforms. It's not a guarantee, but it is speculation. The reason why Sharon Rogers is so highly valued as priceless is because you get her for free as a tier 2 from the Shield Academy. So every player in the game is going to have her, and this uniform just makes her damage bonkers. It gives her more survivability, gives her a heal. It's just fantastic. The other 3 uniforms here, so that's basically how it goes for priceless. The other 3 uniforms here are not sort of asterisk uniforms. Sharon Rogers is sort of removed from these because of the possibility that she gets an even better upgrade soon. But for Black Widow, Venom, and Moon Knight, they all got their uniforms within the last 6 months. So chances are they might never get another uniform, or if they do, it's going to be in 1, 2, maybe 3 years. So this value here is absurd, and these characters are just insanely strong for PvE and PvP, tier 2, tier 3, just out of the box. They're amazing, on top of the fact that Black Widow, she's above them technically, because you get her for free from the story mode. So the value here is just out of this world. Pretty much every account should have these 3 uniforms, 2 of which are super easy to farm for, and then the only one that's a little bit challenging because of biometric selectors from Shadowland would be Moon Knight. Moving on to super value, these 3 characters are just amazing because of their value, again, at tier 2 or tier 3. Now, Captain America is free like Black Widow. Captain America, I can't illustrate it here, but he's not just a blast type, he's also potentially a combat type. So you can change his typing, and his value is almost identical between his newest Hydra uniform, which also makes him a villain, and his older endgame uniform. They're both really good, have all defense down. He can be a striker. He's just a fantastic character for both ways. He does fall off a little bit in the end game, which makes him a little bit worse than some other characters. He's not as good as Black Widow, for example, but he will carry you through a lot of the game, and he has tons of flexibility. Colossus is just like the best support in the game for defensive purposes, and the uniform makes him amazing. It makes him a Phoenix Force character, yada yada yada. And then Medusa, just fantastic. She's got the potential to be transcended. She's got the awakening skill. She's got a support passive. She's got a leadership. She's got all defense down, immunity, super easy to play, awesome hair and animations, just like really strong. And then we go over to high value. This is basically just super value, but just not as much value as super value. Now, I did separate these 4 characters here: Rogue, Kamala, Minerva, Mysterio. Mysterio you get for free as a 6-star. Rogue and Kamala are easy to farm. Actually, Rogue is really easy to farm, and then Kamala and Minerva are a little bit harder to farm. Actually, Kamala might be in the Dimension Shop. But anywho, these 4 characters are very good in the early to mid game of Marvel Future Fight. They do fall off a little bit in the late game and the end game because they don't have tier 3 or Transcended, but they are all very good, free to play friendly, and their uniforms just send them through the roof offensively and defensively. For these characters over here, they're basically everything that I just said, plus they can go higher. She-Hulk is the one. She-Hulk and Punisher are the 2 notable exceptions to this because they can't go higher than tier 2. They can't be awakened. But in the case of Ghost Rider, he becomes a universal villain, which is a super rare and super expensive tag, and he gets a big upgrade, and he's like amazing for Shadowland, and then it can plow through like any stage. And then She-Hulk has the most unique leadership in the game, so that's why they're sort of put above the rest. As far as these characters, she can be awakened, he can be awakened. and then these two can go to tier 3. So that's why they're there. Moving on to the next one, we have high cost, high value. So this is basically sounds exactly the way that it's written. These characters have high value, but they also have a high cost. The high cost could be for Luna Snow and Namor, and other characters here. You have the BIOS subscription. So you have to pay real money to unlock these characters. Sure, you can get 1 or 2 of them through different means, but otherwise you're going to have to spend real money to unlock these characters. For Yelena, you have to purchase her for crystals, and then you have to get her ranked up, etc. It also means that their uniforms are usually a lot more expensive to build. So in the case of Nimrod, his uniform's really expensive to build, because even if you get Nimrod for free, aka Sentinel, you're still going to have to then use a Mega Mythic uniform upgrade ticket. So the cost here for the uniform is very high, on top of the fact that for other characters, they have additional costs. So for Thanos, you're going to have to go play World Boss, unlock him. You're going to have to build him up to 6 stars, which costs, 9,000 black antimatter, etc. And then his uniform costs base 2,500 crystals. And then you have to rank up his uniform with even more black antimatter. So the cost there is bananas. And then you also have to take him to tier 3. Yeah, huge cost. So for Doctor Strange, you have to take him to tier 3, but you also have to finish the Doctor Strange Epic Quest, which means 5-star Clea, 5-star Hellstorm, etc. So the costs here for these characters are very, very high. I mean, the lowest cost character would probably be the Hulk, because you can farm for him for free through biometric selectors. All you have to do is buy his uniform, but then you also have to get him to tier 3. So that's the lowest cost, but it's still much higher cost than some of these characters here, where you really don't need to do that. High cost also means that if you don't go all the way with the cost, you may not be happy with your final investment. That's what I want to be really careful about. So for example, some of you guys are saying, Alex, you said Ghost Rider was the #1 best 800 CCF tier 3, but you put him in this category here and Captain America's over here. Are you saying Captain America's a better character than Ghost Rider? No, but I'm saying buying his uniform at tier 2 unlocks Captain America's ability to be both a hero and a villain. It gives him all defense down, so he can be a striker, healing, he's super easy to play, and he can just mow through a lot of early and mid-game content and just really carry you into the late game. Ghost Rider can't do that. Even though Ghost Rider can be farmed with biometric selectors, or even he can be gotten through the Rift Shop, I think, he's not very good at tier 2. He dies pretty easily, and he's got super long cooldowns. So if you don't have really good cards, your build is just going to punish you, and you're just going to suffer, and you're going to hate this uniform. So that might be 1,000 crystals that are poorly wasted. So this category is really where the best characters are. By and large, the best characters in the game are all here, besides Black Widow and Deadpool for the most part. But the problem is, or the sort of, not the problem, but the downside is, if you don't have the resources to invest, right? Why would you buy Dr. Octopus's uniform if you don't have any Mandalay gem fragments? You can't transcend him. He's not very good when he's not transcended. So you have to be very careful with some of these builds. You have a 1-star Apocalypse, that's great. If you buy his uniform now, you're going to be waiting a few weeks, if not a few months, to farm up all the feathers to get his uniform, to get him to 6 stars, and then to get his uniform to Mythic. So the value there has to be balanced with the cost. Not a commentary on how good these characters are, but a commentary on the cost of their uniform versus the expected production of the uniform. Then over here we have mid value. This is pretty straightforward. These characters are just not that good. They're worse than the characters that come before them over here, but they still have some value. They definitely still have value. They're not bad characters, but you're not going to get as much. It's not going to go as far. A lot of these characters are just not in the meta, or they're on the very fringes of the meta, or they need very specific circumstances in order to be good, and or they need a lot of investment, like Mr. Fantastic, like Red Guardian needing to be awakened, Winter Soldier needing to be tier 3, Sabretooth needing all those crystals, yada, yada, yada. Then we go over here to support value. Very short list, but these characters' uniforms will give them a support passive. By and large, the best character out of this list, like far and away the best character for this, is Taskmaster. He's the perfect example of a support uniform. Now, yeah, the uniform makes him a little bit better, but you really are buying the uniform for the uniform bonus. You can also get the Legendary Battle rewards, the Extreme Legendary Battle for Black Widow movie, which is an amazing Legendary Battle, by the way, as far as like the gameplay. But you're really getting it for that uniform bonus. So that's why this uniform is so widely coveted by players. But yeah, it's a support uniform. Ronin's is probably the worst on this list. Ronin's, or maybe Ghost, is like the worst one on this list, but they are all support uniforms. Then we go over to less value and a damn shame. A damn shame is really more of a criticism of the Marvel Future Fight developers, because they have just not put in enough effort to either rework these characters, so their oldest uniforms are just really, really bad in the case of someone like Gamora or Daredevil, or in the case of Elsa, where they had an opportunity to give her a uniform and they didn't, but she got an awakening. or the uniform, and I have some gaps here, or the uniform is just way too expensive for the cost. So a really good example are these three characters right here: Magic, Iceman, and Emma Frost. Because of the difficulty to farm up these characters, and also possibly a connection to their popularity as mutants, it's just absurd. You basically have to use rank up tickets, uniform rank up tickets, to get these uniforms ranked up. Otherwise, it's going to cost you possibly thousands of crystals or multiple biometric, or excuse me, X-Gene subscriptions. So it's just not feasible, right? It's just not economically viable. And the increase, the buff that these uniforms give these characters is so small that it really is almost an insult to the player base. Killmonger's here as well because people who don't even own Killmonger, he breaks the second cardinal rule. They buy his uniform just to get it to Mythic, just to get the CTP of energy from the Black Panther Legendary Battle. Now, do I suggest that you invest 4,000 crystals to get a CTP of energy, and you also have to invest a Mega Mythic uniform upgrade ticket? No, but that's why people do get that Killmonger uniform, just a heads up there. I would much rather suggest you get Hela's uniform and just save 3,000 crystals and save the Mythic uniform upgrade ticket, but it is what it is. And then, of course, we have less value here. Believe it or not, Nick Fury, amazing character. His uniform, not really that good. It increases his support passives by a tiny bit, but it's really not worth the investment at all. The only other one I want to talk about briefly is Ancient One. This can have a little bit more value for you if you need to swap between male Blast and female Blast, because the uniform does give you that gender swap because of Tilda Swinton in the Doctor Strange movie. So with that being said, this is the must-buy list. You can, of course, find the link down below in the description, along with the A3 Still Alive download link, which you should definitely check out. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your comments are. I will update this if we do get any uniforms between now and Black Friday, but I sort of doubt that, maybe with the exception of Carnage and Silk, because we have, like I said, less than 2 weeks, or just about 2 weeks. And of course, in the meantime, there's really not much. We actually don't have anything lined up besides potential sneak peeks. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Good luck prioritizing your list and making your crystals stretch as far as possible. It's going to be tough, but we'll make it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.